Welcome to Convocation. It's wonderful to be here with all of you. To those of you who are new, I'm Kim Bottomley, the president of Wellesley College. I want to begin by thanking our student groups, Wellesley Blue Jazz and Yon Valou, and the Wellesley College Choir for their music during today's activities. I really appreciate everyone taking the time to practice on their return to campus. And now I will turn over the podium to Dean Kazanjian, who will give the invocation.
Welcome back to Wellesley, or for some of you, welcome to Wellesley. I've been thinking a lot these days about the concept of home. What is home? Where is home? Is home that place where you were birthed into the world? Or is home a place where your family resides, or where you used to and still occasionally live, or maybe where most of your belongings are stored? Perhaps home for you is a place of memory, that location where one returns from time to time in thoughts and dreams to reground or recenter. For some, home is a place where you can be yourself. But this is complicated because one can be at a place called home and yet not feel at home at all. For many of you, home may be a virtual page with images of friends and loved ones and things that you hope no employer will ever see. And what about this place, this campus, your residence hall community, your room? Is this home too? One of the definitions of home is as a verb, like in the sentence, "Look, there are thousands of students homing their way to Wellesley College like geese migrating to nesting grounds." Sages of old have told us that home is where the heart is. I like that. The wise tortoise models for us a way to carry our home with us wherever we go. There is wisdom there too. Sometimes home is found in the arms of a loved one. This summer at 2 Wellesley weddings, I shared with those gathered that these were 2 people who had found a home in each other. Now that is a home to cherish. I too have found that kind of home with my beloved. But this past month, as Michelle and I have been packing up our home to move it across the country to a new home, this notion of home has taken on a new meaning. What we are discovering is that the road home leads not so much to the home or homes of one's childhood, nor the house, apartment, or residence hall room that you currently occupy. The road home is not so much a place as a feeling we carry inside of us, a feeling of being at home within one's self. You may only have a glimpse of it now, and it will certainly come and go, as it does for all of us. But on the road home, there will be moments of feeling lost or wandering down unknown pathways. But wherever you go, whatever you do, know that there is a home within yourself waiting to be occupied, and that it can offer refuge and comfort and a place to return from the wonderful and sometimes unsettling wanderings that lie before you in your life. In this way, Wellesley is here as a touchstone, a place of reference, a place of return, yes, a home of sorts, but one that is dedicated to the purpose of enabling you to make a home for yourself within yourself as well as in the world. Let us commence, then, this year's journey on the road home.
Thank you, Dean Kazanjian. Good afternoon. You know, it's very nice to be back here in the Diana Chapman Walsh Alumnae Hall to celebrate Convocation and to be back on campus with all of you for another year. Today we begin Wellesley's 139th year. Beginnings are exciting. They're filled with anticipation. We know that inspiration and insight lie in front of us, as do hard work and accomplishment, success and failure, promise and progress, and new intellectual heights to be climbed. And we know that we will be looking at the world a little differently come May. It's going to be a busy year. It's going to be a great year. Last week, I had the pleasure of greeting a remarkable group of students, the new Green Class of 2017. Welcome to Wellesley. As I said last week, you will soon find out that Wellesley is a good place to begin to grow and to continually learn new things. This is your community now, and we are very glad that you are here. This year, we also have with us 8 new Davis Scholars and 13 new transfer students. We are happy that you joined us. I would like to say a special welcome to our 13 new tenure-track faculty and our new staff. Welcome to Wellesley. To the Red Class of 2016, welcome back. As sophomores now, you have a lot to teach our first-year students. To the Yellow Class of 2015, it's wonderful to see all of you again. And a special welcome back to the Purple Class of 2014. You are now officially the senior class of Wellesley College. Yeah. Now, there are many responsibilities inherent in being the senior class, and I know you are ready for this important role on campus. It is your turn to set the tone with your leadership. As a symbol of that leadership today, you have joined the faculty in wearing traditional academic robes. Seniors, you still have 1/4 of your Wellesley career in front of you. Enjoy it. Finally, let me welcome back our faculty and recognize our staff, many of whom were here working this summer. I hope you each had an enjoyable summer, and like me, are looking forward to another great year. Convocation marks the traditional start of the academic year, and as we begin Wellesley's 139th year, I want to recall the words of our founder, Henry Durant. In a speech to the first class of Wellesley students in 1875, the year that Wellesley opened, he declared that the college's objective was to prepare students for great conflicts, for vast reforms in social life, for noblest usefulness. Today, I want to speak a little bit about his notion of noble usefulness. What does it mean to be nobly useful? Noble in this sense means worthy, principled, meritorious. Each of us may interpret this differently depending on our backgrounds, experiences, interests, or ideals. Noble usefulness, whether we call it that or not today, very much continues to be a part of our culture at Wellesley. For instance, in our Summer Center research program, Science Center research program, some students studied how nanoparticles can be used to treat pancreatic cancer. And off campus this summer, another student launched an art-based project to aid women in the Republic of Congo. On the shores of Lake Baikal in Siberia, a team of Wellesley students, faculty, and alumni were once again engaged in research on the most biotically rich body of water in the world. On an archaeological dig in Greece, a Wellesley-led team of students and faculty increased our knowledge of history by studying an area believed to be among the earliest inhabited regions in ancient times. And at the Vatican this summer, a Wellesley student worked in the photo archives of the Vatican Museum thanks to a brand new internship established with the help of our Italian department. Indeed, Wellesley is the perfect place to discover what noble usefulness might mean for you. As we begin this new academic year, I would like to offer some thoughts on how Wellesley continues to support and sustain us in our individual and collective endeavors to achieve noble usefulness. Wellesley is a place where we as an institution advocate for what we at Wellesley believe in, and that is educating women to make a difference in the world, enabling women, no matter their financial background, to benefit from a Wellesley education, and advancing women's global leadership. In this coming year, I encourage you to advocate what you as an individual believe in. Thoughtful activism can be very powerful. In fact, it was one of the ideals in which Henry Durant believed. Wellesley was founded to give women an education equivalent to that of men, a radical and very unpopular notion at the time. Shortly after the college opened, Henry Durant declared to students, "All of our plans are in outspoken opposition to the systems and the prejudices of the public. Therefore, we expect every one of you to be, in the noblest sense, reformers." Wellesley students have a long history of raising awareness in pursuit of change. The same goes for our faculty. You may have recently seen an open letter from a number of our faculty to the administration of Peking University, in which Wellesley faculty affirmed their commitment to the principles of academic freedom and voiced their concerns that our colleagues and partners at Peking University lack that. And this coming year, you will no doubt hear from a group of Wellesley students who are joining the nationwide movement to divest from or withdraw endowment investment in fossil fuel companies. It is an important topic that will be considered by the trustees and discussed with the whole on-campus community to determine what's the right approach for Wellesley. Wellesley is also a place of incredible diversity. The members who make up this community share vastly different opinions and ideas on issues of local, national, and international importance. This difference is good. It is one of the many benefits of our intellectual community. Take advantage of this diversity to explore your own beliefs and to challenge your own beliefs. Listen to what others have to say. Listen very carefully to those whose opinions and beliefs are in stark opposition to your own. We don't all agree, but we are all smart, or we wouldn't be here. We are all worth listening to. Engage in dialogues that bring about productive conversations and healthy debate. We all benefit from such conversations, and unless our mind is closed, we all learn from them. And finally, Wellesley is a place where it is impossible to remain stagnant. This is a community devoted to the love of learning. You can't help but keep learning here. Students, it's up to you to take full advantage of our liberal arts curriculum, which is unparalleled in the world. You are here because you want to learn from the best of the best. And faculty, you are here because you want to teach the best of the best. What happens inside and outside of the classroom at Wellesley will spark something in you, something that I have no doubt will be put to good and noble use. Henry Durant would be pleased to know how many generations of Wellesley faculty have helped prepare alumni for lives of noble usefulness. One such alumna who lived a most nobly useful life is Catherine Davis, Wellesley class of 1928. As many of you know, Catherine passed away in April this year at the age of 106. Catherine was the quintessential Wellesley woman. Wherever she went, she had a positive influence on people and places. She had a zest for life, an insatiable appetite for learning, and she loved Wellesley with all of her heart. I will forever hold in my mind the beautiful image of this indomitable woman boating on Lake Waban last fall at the age of 105. Catherine was a trendsetter. She had a PhD in international relations at a time when very few women earned doctorates. She championed a great many causes long before they became popular causes, including global education, world peace, environmental conservation, and art. She is also the Davis whose name adorns our world-class museum, the plaza in front of the museum, as well as the parking garage. Noble usefulness. As a community, we haven't yet had the opportunity to celebrate the life of this extraordinary person. And so I invite you to join me over the coming year as we honor, remember, and celebrate Catherine Davis and the ideals and values in which she believed. There will be various opportunities to do so this coming year, culminating in a community-wide celebration in April. I look forward to telling you more about these events soon. Catherine Davis encouraged those around her to stay active and involved always, and to never stop learning. In 2007, upon receiving the prestigious Woodrow Wilson Award for Public Service, she said, "We don't know what tomorrow holds, and therefore let us take advantage of today to be as useful as possible." With those words, I encourage you all to take advantage not only of today, but to take advantage of this remarkable place in all it has to offer, as we all aspire to a life of noble usefulness. Thank you. And now we will hear from the Provost and Dean of the College, Andy Shennan.
Thank you. I'd like to add my welcome to the presidents, to all of the students and faculty and staff here today. My hair grows grayer, but the energy of this event never grows old. It's great to be here. Next spring, shortly before you senior students graduate, we will mark the 100th anniversary of the single most important day in this college's history, the day that much of Wellesley College burned to the ground. Now, a show of hands, even though I'm a little blinded, how many of you know about the fire of 1914? Oh gosh, quite a lot. Maybe I should stop right here. In spite of the fact that you're so well informed, many of you, I'm going to spend a few minutes telling you about the fire. and for a number of reasons. First of all, the campus that we have today, in essence, emerged from the ashes of the fire. And second, the story is dramatic and instructive in its own right. It says a lot not just about who we were and who we aspired to be a century ago, but also who we still are. And could there be a more timely moment to mark this turning point in Wellesley's history than now, as the college is preparing to embark on the program of campus renewal that we have called Wellesley 2025. After 2 years of work by many members of this community, we have formulated an ambitious plan for modernizing and revitalizing critical buildings, including the Science Center and the greenhouses, Pendleton West, Green Hall, the Sports Center, Schneider, Munger, other residence halls and dining facilities across the campus. Reimagining an existing space is a different challenge from literally rebuilding the campus. But in Wellesley 2025, we are trying to emulate, for this century, the kind of visionary planning that was done so well in the aftermath of the fire of 1914. But first, I am going to tell you a little bit about the fire itself. It's too bad we're not outside, because somehow this would be better sitting in the landscape of the college. As you look over, I guess it would be in that direction, towards Severance Hill, if you had X-ray eyes, towards where Tower Court, Severance, and Claflin now stand. Imagine a vast pile of a building, almost 500 feet long, 5 stories high, constructed from 7 million bricks. That was College Hall. Originally, College Hall was the college. By 1914, we had added other buildings to the campus, including the library, the chapel, the dorms in the Hazard Quad. But still, most of Wellesley College was contained in that one building. Rooms for almost 300 students and some faculty, dining and social spaces, 28 classrooms, an assembly hall, large enough as this hall is for the whole campus, most of the science labs, all of the administration, most of the academic departments. Think of the equivalent of Founders Green, Pendleton, the Science Center, the Lulu, Tower Court, Claflin, and Severance, all in one building. And shortly before 4:30 a.m., on March 17, 1914, somewhere on an upper floor, College Hall caught fire. 2 seniors, Virginia Moffett and Miriam Grover, whose room was on the 4th floor, were awoken, in Miriam's words, by the sound of crackling and falling embers and an eerie orange light through the transom of our door. They immediately alerted the head of residence and the registrar, who in those days lived with the students. It's a thought. 1 floor below, 2 other seniors had been woken by the commotion, rushed to sound the bronze gong that was normally used to summon students to dinner. Soon, electric alarm bells were ringing throughout the corridors, and students and faculty made their way to a vast atrium area on the ground floor known as College Hall Center. There, a first roll call was taken, and 8 people were found to be missing. Within a few minutes, the 8 were located, and the students and faculty headed outside into the chilly, pre-dawn darkness of St. Patrick's Day. As fire engulfed the whole structure, the head of residence and other resident staff worked heroically to salvage as much as they could, carrying out armfuls of precious books, pictures, and student records. Then the students themselves formed a line and passed these objects from hand to hand down Severance Hill to the library. The evacuation was by all accounts conducted with almost superhuman calm and precision, which makes the instances of all too human behavior almost reassuring. Miss Burrell, a mathematics professor, was convinced that this was just a fire drill. She refused to come out of her room until one of her English department colleagues insisted, none too politely, that she join her. The junior class treasurer, who also happened to be the treasurer of the Shakespeare Society, was on her way. was on her way downstairs for the roll call when she realized she had left 2 checkbooks containing all the student dues in her room. What would you all do? While the roll call continued, she ran back upstairs to retrieve them. In other words, it wasn't all done by the rules. Miraculously, and it really was miraculously, there was no loss of life or even serious injury, but there were other kinds of grievous loss. The college lost a huge chunk of its wealth and its past, including all its archives. Student and faculty residents lost all their personal belongings. Some faculty members lost years' worth of research. Marion Hubbard, professor of zoology, had spent the previous 6 years studying heredity and variation in beetles. She was about to write up her results, and her colleagues were excited about the reception they would receive. Unfortunately, all her specimens, notes, and apparatus were destroyed. So too were the equipment, labs, and special collections of entire academic departments, such as geology, physics, and psychology. At 8:30 a.m., with the fires still burning and College Hall essentially in ruins, the entire student body gathered in Houghton Memorial Chapel. The president, Ellen Fitz-Pendleton, you know the portrait in the entrance hall to Pendleton East, class of 1886, led the community in prayer and assured the students and faculty that the college would find a way to complete the academic year on schedule. She instructed the students to go home as soon as they gathered up their possessions, if they still had possessions, and to return after spring break. And in what must have been a particularly moving moment, she told the students that the buildings were not the college. They were the college, and they must always remember that. A few hours later, President Pendleton called the faculty together and announced that everyone should report for duty on April 7th. The experience of the fire, of course, has to be viewed in the context of its time and of a college culture different from ours. This was a time when there was only one possible hymn, a Christian hymn, that the choir could sing as they marched into the chapel that morning. And contemporary accounts that stress the splendid discipline, selflessness, and self-control of all concerned probably say as much about how young women of a certain religious and social background were expected to behave as about the actual experience. Think of those famous accounts of selfless behavior on the sinking Titanic just 2 years before. And yet, even though some of the words and sentiments may seem dated, we can recognize ourselves in the college's collective response to this crisis. Today, the college gathering, the prayers and the music, I know Victor would agree, would reflect our more diverse community. But I expect the message would be the same. You, the students, are the college. And I hope the college's response would be as resourceful as it was a century ago. Just as the president promised, classes resumed on schedule 3 weeks later. While the students had been away on break, the college had somehow found a way to erect a large administrative and classroom building alongside the chapel on Chapel Green. And already, while the ruins of College Hall were smoldering, and the ruins smoldered for 6 weeks, fundraising and planning for the rebuilding had begun. And rebuilding brings me back to Wellesley 2025. In the college's experience after 1914, there are very important lessons for the work that we will be doing over the next decade. An essential lesson is that we need to ensure that our renovated buildings meet the educational and residential needs of the future, not those of the past. After the destruction of College Hall, the college didn't try to replicate the model of a single building integrating residential, administrative, instructional, scientific functions. Even before 1914, the shortcomings of that model had been apparent. Rather than reconstructing exactly what was lost, the college took the opportunity to develop a different model, separating academic and administrative spaces from student spaces. As we remodel the interiors of today's academic and residential spaces, we need to be similarly forward-looking. We also need to be bold in our planning and ensure as far as possible that our buildings reflect our highest aspirations. Among other things, the fire of 1914 was a financial disaster for the college. Many institutions, most institutions, would have responded by retrenching and planning with an eye to short-term economy. Instead, this college took a more aspirational approach, beginning work almost immediately, within months, on what is now Tower Court, and then adopting the plan that would eventually lead to the construction of our remarkable academic quad. The justification for doing so was beautifully expressed by a group of faculty just 1 year after the fire. They wrote, "A great design may be cut down and altered to meet limitations of price and so forth, and may still remain great. But a petty design can never afterwards be enlarged. A great design always runs the risk of raising expectations beyond what can be achieved in the short term." In just the past few months, since details of the 2025 plan have been released, we've seen the disappointments that can follow from raised expectations. Still, in 2014, as in 1914, the aspirational approach is the right one for Wellesley. But with aspiration must come patience. It wasn't until 5 years after the fire that the college opened its new academic building, Founders Hall. It was 17 years before Green Hall was built, 22 years before Pendleton was built. And that unloved plywood structure on the chapel green, erected in just 3 weeks, remained standing until 1931, when on the 17th anniversary of the fire, the college community gleefully demolished it. The reality is that we in our generation will need to have similar patience. Even our most basic plans will take the better part of a decade to accomplish, and will require us, all of us, students, faculty, and staff, to adapt to temporary accommodations. The more we can achieve of our aspirational plans, the longer it will take. But as the experience of the college after 1914 shows, it is a trade-off worth making. The challenges we face today, envisioning a campus that will meet the needs of an outstanding 21st century college, are different from those of a century ago. We're operating in a world of infinitely greater technical complexity. Our facilities require ever more specialized expertise. But for me, there is still a simple lesson in the fire of 1914 and its aftermath that remains relevant. In our stewardship of this extraordinary place, we all have a role to play. Think of the students. Think of your predecessors passing salvaged records and treasures down Severance Hill. Think of the administration promising the college would finish the year, I suspect without knowing how, and putting up a building in 3 weeks to make it possible. Think of the remarkable generation of faculty women and alumni who then pushed the college to preserve the low-lying spaces on our campus and build an inspiring academic quad on the hill at its center. This time around, no doubt, the roles will be different, but the lesson of 1914 is that we all have a role to play. And I especially want to say this to those of you who will be graduating next spring. You may be asking yourselves how any of this transformative activity will affect you. Isn't the answer, as the chair of our Board of Trustees, Laura Gates, likes to say, that you come to Wellesley for a lifetime? All the good thinking, purposeful energy that you can bring to this effort in the year ahead will make your college stronger far into the future. I look forward to participating with you all in that effort. Thanks so much. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Lillian Elsner, the Chief Justice.
Well, thank you very much. Don't make me blush. So as we begin this academic year, I too would like to continue on the historical themes that we've been lucky enough to hear about today. And I'll share with you the factoid that the relevant aspects of Wellesley's community related to the Honor Code are built upon 94 years of high expectations since 1919. All of us are reaping the benefits of a robust honor code upheld by generations of students, our predecessors, who made difficult choices in tough times. They navigated and cultivated this honor code through iterations of the same hard problems that we all face today. This year, we are tasked with upholding this legacy, as we have inherited such privileges as self-scheduled, unmonitored exams, secure belongings in public spaces, and even being able to have the horrible problem of dish use, which, for any of you who are not aware of this plague that faces our campus, that is the chronic issue of dishes being taken out of the dining halls and not returned, instead left scattered, festering in nooks and crannies of higher floors of residence halls. So, I stand before you today as Chief Justice to fulfill my duty and enjoy the opportunity to raise awareness of Wellesley's Honor Code. In a few moments, I will ask you all to recite the Honor Code with me, to reaffirm and affirm for the first time for some of you our commitment to it. But before we do so, I hear some papers rattling. I would like to take a few moments to appreciate and help us all appreciate the gravity of what we are about to do. To demonstrate this, I shall share a nugget of wisdom I have gained through adjudicating Honor Code Council hearings. At my very first hearing, and right afterwards, sitting as a member of the Honor Code Council, I was on a hearing panel to hear a violation. And honestly, after I shut the door and headed back to my dorm, I shed a tear or two out of the enormous sadness that swelled in my chest upon leaving the room. For in that moment, I realized the sad and stark truth about Wellesley's Honor Code violations, that Wellesley students do not deliberately break the Honor Code. There is rarely, if ever, malintent from their perspective. We as Wellesley students can often be lulled into the comfort of the safe, sheltered environment left both by the efforts and wake of mistakes by our older sisters and siblings. And we begin to think that a violation would never happen, thinking to ourselves, I would never break the honor code. We have the privilege of thinking that honesty, integrity, and respect are in ourselves and in our community a given. That sense of security and trust can be broken in a moment in which we forget to stop and to think. There is indeed never, ever enough time, and in the crunch, we can quickly be tempted to make irrational shortcuts or ridiculous choices that we never would have made had we just been thinking straight. Therein lies the key, thinking. The ancient adage, check yourself before you wreck yourself, is widely applicable when considering actions in light of the Honor Code. I implore each one of you to think before you act in all aspects of life, to build in a mechanism somehow to stop yourself even for a few silent seconds before committing any sort of action that later you might question. In the words of the ever-irrelevant Mad Eye Moody, practice constant vigilance. Oh, thanks for putting up with me. All right. Revel not only in the existing comfort that the Honor Code provides us, but examine your daily actions or inactions for where you put into practice the tenets of honesty, integrity, and respect. Remember, too, that you are not committing to the Honor Code alone. While you are making yourselves accountable to the community, recall that we are all striving to live lives of honor. Ask for help, ask for guidance, ask for permission, rather than finding yourself begging for forgiveness. Through communication and practice, I believe that we can together uphold the tradition of the Honor Code for another successful year to come. I also hope that our voices reverberate through these walls in unison on this first day of classes. Our words and our actions throughout the year will so too echo the honor code, resounding through the academic quad, the Science Center, West Side, East Side, the Sports Center, up and down Central and Washington streets, through the roads of Boston, the country, the world, ringing of honesty, integrity, and respect. Bearing these considerations in mind, it is now my pleasure to invite students and faculty and all guests here to stand with me and recite the honor code, which is printed in your program. All right, we shall begin. As a Wellesley College student, I will act with honesty, integrity, and respect. In making this commitment, I am accountable to the community and dedicate myself to a life of honor. I would like to thank you once again for bestowing the distinct honor of electing me to be your Chief Justice, and I eagerly look forward to serving you all, and I wish you an excellent year. And with even more pleasure, I invite Joy Das, our wonderful college government president, to give her address.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Well, here we are, the first day of the 2013-2014 academic year. To the first years and new students, welcome to Wellesley. To the sophomores, I'm glad you're still here. To the juniors, I'm happy to see you, but you should really try to go abroad. And for the senior class of 2014, hi, what's up? So, just to set the stage, I am a procrastinator. Everyone's been telling me since April to get ready for today's remarks, and I definitely started writing about a week ago. I was looking back on past speeches, and there seemed to be two requirements. First, they all uplift your spirits and hope that this year will be great. Second, they all make obscure cultural references. So to the Google I went, and I found a blog post by Sophia McDougall from 2 weeks ago, which I thought was brilliant, and I'm totally using it right now. In the top typed copy, I cite my sources, so if you want to know what she actually says, you can read that. And this way, Lily won't cry about me. Basically, the blog asks why movies, books, television, and magazines often define strong female characters the same way. Surprisingly smart, surprisingly attractive, or surprisingly good at martial arts. This happens so often that the characters start to blur together and become one-dimensional, and it's a little unfair. For example, and I quote, Sherlock Holmes gets to be brilliant, solitary, abrasive, bohemian, whimsical, brave, sad, manipulative, neurotic, vain, untidy, fastidious, artistic, courteous, rude, a polymath genius. Female characters get to be strong. When you think about it, this doesn't only happen in the movies. This occurs in the greater society, and even here in the Wellesley bubble. Sometimes I think that we have to be strong because we have something to prove to the world. We hold ourselves to a higher standard, whether on campus or out doing real things, to overcompensate for our perceived weaknesses. But in the context of our lives, how do we define strength, and how far will that definition take us? Some days, it takes all my strength to get out of bed in the morning. So how does anyone expect me to find the power to perpetually hold the world's expectations on my shoulders? Defining abstract concepts is a tricky business. It requires more than the courage to challenge and change commonly accepted beliefs. Honestly, it's the complete disregard of reality. It's the acknowledgement that my limitations exist, not because others believe I can't overcome them, but because I recognize and accept them. To define is to throw away everything anyone ever taught us about the rules, and to be okay with starting from scratch. All of us come across people and stereotypes that define our roles based on how strong we are. My challenge for everyone is to forget them and to create your own character. Make your character well-written and complex. Fill your sketch with volumes of angsty development, dramatic irony, and sudden plot twists. Acknowledge your own limitations, but trash the ones that others impose on you. Be perfect and happy while being afraid and confused. It's okay to stay behind in the backdrop as long as you prepare yourself for center stage. Be everything that you are, but please, this year, don't feel that you have to hide behind a facade of being strong. To the faculty, staff, administration, and fellow students, I'd like to thank you for today, and I hope that you're ready, because like it or not, we're back. I'd now like to turn the podium over to President Bottomley. Thank you.
So now I would like to ask you all to sit as we sing America the Beautiful. We will be led in the singing by Maria Brusco, class of 2014. After that, Dean Kazanjian will give us the benediction. Maria? Stand. Please stand.
Now you can be seated. How many of you have ever planted anything? Okay, so those of you who've planted something know about this process of digging into the earth and the potential that lies there. Those of you who haven't, plant something soon. How many of you have ever tasted ripe fruit or vegetables fresh off the vine? Woo. Those of you who haven't, Whole Foods right down the street, okay? Please stand. I know. Do you know what sowing is? Not S-E-W, S-O-W. To sow a seed. Take seeds in your hand for a moment and just toss them out. Come on, toss them out, get the body into it, sow those seeds, and then what do? Once you've sown them, you reap the harvest. Reaping the harvest, ready? Come on. Ooh. Nice. Please be seated. Hold on to those thoughts. You're going to need them in a moment. It has been a blessing for me to be part of this college community for the past 2 decades. The memories will no doubt endure, and the relationships continue to be a source of life even from afar. And I will certainly find my way back from time to time to walk on this holy ground that has been so life-giving to me. In 1993, before many of you were born, at my first convocation, I opened my time at Wellesley with the words of my spiritual mentor, Dr. Howard Thurman, calling us as individuals and as humanity to be complete and of one piece within and without. I like to think that we've been experimenting with this sense of wholeness over the last 2 decades. At this, my last convocation, I again returned to Dr. Thurman's words, this time in his essay, The Harvest of the Heart, in which he writes, "Life consists of planting and harvesting, of sowing and reaping. We are always in the midst of the planting and always in the midst of the harvest. The words that we use to communicate to each other, the profound stirrings of the mind out of which thoughts and ideas arise, the ebb and flow of desires out of which simple and complex deeds develop, all emerge from this process of reaping and sowing, planting and harvesting. Even when we are conscious of the things growing in us, planted by others that are always ripening, so others are conscious of the things growing in them, planted by us, always ripening. There are no anonymous deeds, no isolated thoughts, no casual processes. Inasmuch as we do not live unto ourselves, it is the essence of wisdom for us to consciously live our lives in the profound awareness of others. And so, my friends, the planting and harvesting, the sowing and reaping goes on. I am filled with gratitude at the blessing of being in your company these many years. You have given me so much for which I am grateful. May this year and the next after that offer you rich soil for the planting of your dreams and the sowing of the seeds of your desires. May you live in the profound awareness of others, near and far, and may you know abundance in the harvesting of that which gives meaning and purpose to your life here at Wellesley and beyond, for that is the harvest of the heart.
Victor, we will miss you. We will miss your beautiful and inspirational prose. I know this must be a bittersweet moment for you and Michelle as you both celebrate your last convocation at Wellesley. It is such a moment for all of us. This community has benefited in many ways from your collective wisdom and leadership, and I thank you both, and I wish you success in your new roles. Thank you. This concludes our convocation ceremony. Faculty, please follow the convocation marshals to process out of the Alumnae Hall. Students, please remain in your seats for step singing, which will begin shortly. Faculty and staff, you're welcome to stay for step singing if you want.